Hangout before and have you screen shared?
No, I haven't. This is
Okay,
the first time.
it's okay. I'll be gentle. Okay, so up on the left-hand side over here, there's a whole bunch of icons, and the second one is the little green one with the arrow. That's your screen
Oh
share
yeah.
button.
Okay.
So you're going to click on that, and then you'll just
hmm
click whatever program you're using to show the images wherever you're showing it from.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. How are you feeling today? Much better than yesterday?
We're up, so we're calling it a victory. I slept like 22 hours of like a 30-hour period, so
Okay. Right.
slow.
So,
Okay.
all right. Just opening up the images now.
No worries. My hair is like a hot mess today too. I look like I licked an electrical socket.
It's fine.
No, it's okay. We're going to be looking at your beautiful images, so.
Thank goodness for that. I hate being on the camera.
No worries.
My machine's going slow. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I've got the first image up.
Okay. Can you just open all 5 of them? What are you using to read them?
I'm using preview on, it says it's opening something. I'm view on a Mac. I think that will work.
Okay. You can use iPhoto too. You can actually pull them up directly from your G Plus, like in the community. If you shared the 5 on there, you can open them there too if you're having trouble opening it.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'll do that one.
That might work easier. The problem is that sometimes if you screen share and you select a single image, then it won't track with you when you go to the next one. It'll just keep showing us the first image.
Okay. The moment is showing.
I'm gonna have like little waiting theme music, like my own little elevator song.
I don't know what my machine is doing. This has been working fine all day. Now it's just playing up.
Well, that's because you're on the air now. If you were still just hanging out, it'd be
Oh.
working fine.
It says there's a connectivity issue. But if you can hear me fine, then it should be okay.
Yeah, I can hear you
But you
fine.
keep breaking up. Okay. Here we go.
How hard was it for you to pick your images?
It wasn't easy at all. I think I'm my own worst critic when it comes to this, so I don't know how I decided in the end that I actually um, enjoyed taking at the time, if that makes sense.
Mm.
I think I'm finally here. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, got them. Okay.
Okay.
Where have you gone?
So if you move your mouse over to the left, it should just pull it up for you. They should just slide right over.
Mm-hmm.
And then just click on the green one, and then
That
you'll
one.
click on the Google window,
Share.
I guess, if that's what. There you go.
So can you see that window?
Perfect. Yes. So I see Alexandra and Brandy. And now I see blank screen.
Okay, got it. Perfect.
There we go.
Right, let's start with this one. Yay! Sorry about
Yay. That's
that.
okay, no worries. Okay, so you're going to tell
Okay.
me a little bit about the image and what you like and what you don't like, and then I'm going to grade you on a scale of 0 to 3. You need at least
Mhm.
5 points to pass level 4.
Okay. So I organised a shoot at a hotel that uh, I'm on their recommended suppliers list, and I wanted to try something different because I went to WPPI last year and went to Creative Lives women's portraiture show that they
Okay.
were doing. Because I'm really, though I'd love wedding photography, I want to do more women's portraiture. So, and one of the things Sue Bryce was saying, you just have to get out there and do it. So I found a model and a makeup artist, and I had some images that I wanted to try. So this is one of the images from the shoot. What I do like about it is her look, her pensive look. It's she's not, I don't know, I can't describe it, but I just love the way that she's looking through her arms as if she's lost in thought. The one thing I don't like is her back. Is I didn't notice it at the time, is how hot it is, but I do like the colouring, and I decided black and white was a bit more effective than leaving it in colour, because then you're
Mhm.
focusing on her as opposed to anything else.
I agree. Her expression is phenomenal. I love the energy that she's giving and that we're feeling it, even though she's not giving it directly to the camera. There's a few things that I think are a little bit distracting. Um, I would probably recommend that you um, just clone out the doorknob on the closet behind her because it's out of focus enough that it's just this little ball of white.
Hmm.
And I think that it wants to pull you away. I totally agree with you about the highlight on her back, and it's because of how she has her arms. The shadow that we're getting from her shoulder blade is really, really exaggerated. So you just have this really dark, like, lump of shadow in the middle of blown out highlights. So it's not very flattering.
Okay,
Um,
true.
and I would have another way to have fixed that would have been to have had her pull that elbow out further because it would have forced her to drop that shoulder down. So the line of her back would have actually been at the front shoulder blade, not the back one. Um, the little tufts of hair that are sitting on her forearm, those are really
Hmm.
distracting. I'd be inclined to take those out as well. And
Do you know,
I'm
I've only just seen those. Just before you said that, I knew that you were going to say something about that.
yeah, the flyaways, I'm kind of touch and go. I don't tend to clone them out entirely because then I think the hair looks fake.
Hmm.
Um, but there's just a few that are catching highlights that aren't following the hair all the way around that are just like little splotches of white that I would want to touch those out and just bring the flyaways a little bit closer to the actual bulk of her hair. So that way you're
Okay.
keeping a more natural look, but you don't have so many. They're almost like little like highlight fireworks going off around her head. Um, Specifically when the light doesn't catch the entire hair, so you just see spots. Um, are you following? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm guessing it's probably a bed sheet, but this little bit of white in the bottom corner that is in front of her
Hmm.
outfit, I'd be inclined to take that out too. I think that that's just a little bit distracting, but I do love her expression in her face. I love the light and the softness of it on her face. The hand on her forehead is beautiful with the positioning of the fingers and the delicacy that it gives. And I love that we still have all the texture in her hair. So
Hmm.
um, lines on the neck are age lines or fat lines. It's one of those
Okay.
things that I think one of the subtleties to retouching, especially with women, is understanding the difference between lines that come from expression and lines that come from age or extra weight. And lines on the neck are either because of in this point, it's because of the way she has her neck turned, and she's a very slender girl, so it's not extra weight, but it's because of the way that the muscles and the flesh have to turn. It will always give the illusion of extra weight. So having her pull her chin forward would force her to stretch her neck so that we didn't get those lines. But in either case, I would want to retouch those out too, because they're never attractive. So overall, I'm going to give this one a 2. I still think it's a really commendable image. I love it in black and white. It kind of has that old sort of Italian magazine editorial kind of feel to it that I like. I could totally see it for like a high-end jewelry commercial spread kind of thing. But I think that there were a couple of little tweaks that you could have made that would have really taken it over the top.
Perfect. Thank you. Right.
All right, next one. Girlfriend, you're as bad as me with all the windows open.
I get into trouble that every time my boyfriend uses my computer, so I just tell him to use his own. It works for me.
Okay. All right, so tell me a little bit about this one.
Okay, so this was a wedding I did a year or so ago. It was a winter wedding, my first winter wedding, and she's their only child, and I knew that her dad was really nervous up until seeing her get in her dress and ready to go to the church. So just before he came in, I just told her how pretty she looked and whatever, and I came in and stood behind her so he could see her, so I could capture his expression when he came through the door. So this was one of a series of 3. And I just love his expression. I think it just captures his emotion completely of how he was feeling. One thing I don't like about it, and I wish I had removed it at the time, was there's a mirror just behind his shoulder, and on the desk was a lamp. So there's a little hot spot just behind his left shoulder. But I like the image, even though you can just about see her. I think you can still see it's from a wedding. But I'm always wondering if I should have probably gone out a bit wider and caught more of her in the back of her dress.
And these are one of my favorite moments from doing weddings too. I love when the dad sees her for the first time. I think that's really, really powerful. You already hit on the mirror and the lamp, which was something that I was going to chide you about. Also, whatever is behind him that has the lines, I don't know if it's tile or whatever, but those are just... There's so many lines coming out of the back of his head right now across the wall that I'd want to read that too. My biggest issues with it are, one, the light is extremely unflattering for him. We have this like weird highlight going down off his lip and his chin that's making his face look asymmetrical. And we hit all the highlight on his nose, which is making his nose look bigger, and the hot spot is on his forehead, which is drawing attention to the receding hairline. So everything that could have gone wrong with the light went wrong with the light for his sake. And we didn't catch it in the eyes, which is where you're looking for it, especially with those. Now, you're kind of a victim of circumstance with that because it's, available light and what's around you. But this is where on camera, bounced flash works great. So something to think about for the future, or just while you're in the room thinking about it, because you do have a little bit of control of deciding where he's going to see her for the first time. Make sure that it's going to look good. I'd rather pull her out and have her downstairs in a different room and set up this shot because the emotion is still going to be there, than have the lighting be subpar, because this is it for the rest of their lives. You totally captured the emotion. The problem is, and here's my biggest thing with the image, is that he doesn't look like he's looking at her. He looks like he's looking at somebody standing next to her that's not in the frame.
Okay.
The eye contact is not from your perspective, and I don't know if this is true or not, and it may just be that he had to look away for a minute because that's his little girl and recompose. I don't know. But from where she is, he doesn't look like he's looking at her. He looks like he's looking off her shoulder. So that breaks the connection, even though the emotion is really apparent. This one is a shot that would have made it into their collection of images to choose from, but this would not be a signature shot from me.
Okay.
As far as that goes. So if it's a series of 3, I'd actually be interested to see the other 2 at some point. and see if maybe one of the others was a little bit more on point. So I'm going to give you a 1 for this one. I totally see where you were going with it. You did totally capture the emotion, but I think that there's a lot of other things that are pulling away from what would have been a really potent image.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this was another bride about 18 months ago. She was running late, about nearly an hour and a half late to get to the church.
I had one of those.
I have a few. And as she was coming out of the car, everyone was coming out saying, "Oh, you've got to get in, you've got to get in." But just as she looked down to straighten her dress before she went into the church, I just took this frame. So it's a bit of a grab shot. But what I really like about it is that despite everything that was going on around her and everyone trying to pull her different directions, I just seem to have captured a moment of silence or stillness on her day just before she ran into the church. I like the fact that her eyelashes are in focus. I didn't realize they were until I actually got the shot home. I don't know. I just think there's something about it. It's not very often, and especially as you know, I know that she's going into the church, and she was probably very nervous. The fact that she just looks calm, I think, adds to the image. For
I
me,
agree.
anyway.
And you did. You totally nailed this sort of serenity and calm before the chaos of the day. I love her eyelashes in focus. You nailed that as well. And you also have her lips very focused, which is good. Um, Again, it's really hard, and take it with a grain of salt when I give you feedback on the posing and the
Mm-hmm.
perspective, because it's live. Everybody is sort of a photojournalist on the wedding day, so you can't pose every shot. But the biggest problem with this one is that we have her head too far down. So even though we caught the eyelashes and the lips, she has no chin
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever, and the lighting's adding to that. So she's got lips and a neck, and it
Okay.
just blends right into her collarbone. So if we had pulled her up just a little bit, so we could have kept that jawline, it
Mm-hmm.
would have been much more flattering, to be able to separate her face from her neck and her collarbones a little bit more. It's making her look really short, and her shoulders are up literally all the way to her ears because of the angle that we got it at. So it would have made a huge difference to just change the angle and pull her up and out just a little. So we could have got the line of the jaw and the chin, and some more of the cheekbones, I think. But I do love the focus. I love it in black and white. I love that we got just the hint of the dress. I love the shadowing and shading on her. I just that chin and that jaw is the only thing that kills it for me. So I'm gonna give this one a 2. I think it's definitely a commendable image. I bet you she loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very feminine and very peaceful, which you don't get a lot of on the wedding day. So I think anytime you can grab them, it's a victory.
Yeah, definitely. I hadn't even
Okay.
noticed that we don't see her chin until just now, and now that's going to bug me.
Yep. Okay.
Okay,
Next
the
up.
next one. This was quite an intimate, yeah, I can't speak, intimate wedding in London last summer. Um, I have a thing for black and white, so this is why nearly all my images are in black and white. I just sent them off so before I started taking their couple shots, and I was just on the far side looking at them, and while they were just chatting away, so I just grabbed this moment where they thought they were alone, and that's how I tend to do a lot of my couple shots, is so they're more relaxed with each other and don't worry about having a camera in their face. What I like about this is the fact that I managed to get them in the frame of the front bush that was in there, and the tenderness of the moment and the pose as well. Some things I don't like. I probably should have made the bush in the background a bit taller so it got rid of the windows, because that can be a bit distracting. And the leaf on her shoulder is also a bit too much.
I agree, and that's sort of the gamble with shooting with heavy foreground. But
Mhm.
I do like that it's framing them. I agree with you about the windows. I think because of how white they are, them and the corner of the building with the white bricks going up want to take you away from them and up through the top of the image. But I think that you could probably very easily just clone the bushes in the background to fill it and probably crop it
Mhm.
down a little bit lower too. Um, I love the emotion between the two of them and the interaction. It's kind of posy with their hands, but I think it works here because of the emotional connection. It looks genuine. It doesn't look posed. And I love the styling. Her face is just, she just looks like a very happy bride. So anytime that you have that genuine connection, I think those make for really powerful images, especially when it comes to wedding photography. These are the ones that become the heirlooms that the great grandchildren pull out when they talk about, you know, the generations before. And
Mhm.
I'm very drawn to that. And I like that you shoot in black and white. I can't remember who said it, but somebody said you photograph in color to photograph the clothes, you photograph in black and white to photograph the soul, and I think that you definitely accomplished that here. So the windows in the white would go, and I do think that I don't know, I think the foreground may be a little bit more distracting than it is amplifying with this image. I don't know that it
Mhm.
adds more than it takes away, um, but I want to like it. So I'm gonna give this one a 2 as well. It's very high 2 though. This one almost made it to 3 for me. I do think it's a really commendable
Thank
image.
you.
It's almost there. It's so close. So
Okay.
well done.
Thank you. And so this is the last one. Of course, another wedding. Funny that. So this was we were walking from the pub down to the church because it was walking distance, obviously, and the guys wanted to do a jumping shot. So we tried it a few times, and this was the last one that we did. So I did some cloning on the foreground on the ground because it was uneven. And I've done some cloning on the side of the buildings as well because there was just some distractions there. And I've just noticed something. There's a green recycling bin at the background on the right hand side, and I've only just seen that, but never mind. So, what else is there? Um, but I do like the shot. I think they really got into it. They really wanted to do it, so it's all there. I was never going to get them all jumping at the same time, so we got as many to get them all with their feet off the ground at least. But there's the guy just behind the groom's shoulder. His face isn't completely in it, whereas everyone else is. So that would be one of the negatives on that one for me. Behind the
Yeah,
green dots.
that's the only real bad one. I agree. You can go in and just touch out the recycling bin, but these are tough, especially when you have big bridal parties to be able to get all of the faces and all of them looking at you. And so I'm
Mhm.
guessing the groom is kind of front and center. I would have liked to have seen him actually
Yeah.
looking towards you instead of down to the ground. And of course, if the groomsman had been more agreeable and pulled his head the other way, we would have had him all the way in it too, and that would have been helpful as well. But overall, you see so many of these shots, and this one, all of them are into it, and there's so much
Mhm.
energy being thrown to you as the viewer that I think it's definitely a success. So even with those two things, I'm gonna give this one a 3 because I think it's one of the most well done, energetic versions of this photo that I've seen, and everybody has this photo now. So to be able to move someone with something everybody's doing is pretty impressive.
Perfect. Thank you.
Well done. All
Thank
right.
you.
So you can go back up to that little green screen share button and just click it again, and it'll turn it off.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, you have survived your level 4 critique with flying colors. So let's talk a little bit about what you're looking for in the Arcanum and what you're doing with your photography right now and where you are as opposed to where you want to be.
So I can't remember where I heard about the Arcanum. It was about sometime last year, and it sounded interesting because it was a different way of learning, a bit more hands-on than some of the mentorships that I've seen available over here, especially with some of the societies. So what I'm hoping is to be able to, one, critique my images better, and that's one of the things I was looking to do before I actually got the message that I'd been successful in joining, and also see where I can improve, especially around lighting as well. To me, that's one of my bugbears, and also just being a bit more creative with some of my wedding images as well.
Okay. And do you shoot
Um,
exclusively weddings?
no, I do portraits. I do some events as well, mainly parties, birthdays, or Christmas parties and things like that. And I've done some family shoots as well. But my first love has always been travel and landscape photography. When I first started, having a person in my photos would have just annoyed me. How
Okay.
things change.
Fair enough.
So yeah. So I would love to go back to doing just travel, but for now, I love the weddings. I have no problem with doing weddings, but I do find photographing women more interesting to me. I've seen so many women with lack of confidence, and I think if you can show someone how beautiful they are on the inside as well as the outside, it makes a huge difference to how they carry themselves and how they go around their everyday life as well. So that's something I want to try and do a bit more of, but I haven't been very good at advertising the fact that I do it. I'm still working a full-time job, which is, I would love to, wish it was 9 to 5, but it isn't. So, for example, last week, I think I did over 80 hours, and it just changes week on week. So my photography stuff is doing my blogging when I do it, more in the evenings or at the weekends, while trying to do everything else as well. So,
Now, tell me a little bit about your day job. Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you want to quit it tomorrow? How are we on that?
I actually like my job.
Okay.
Um, it's something I studied at university, so it's what I've always wanted to do. It was when I was at school, it was a choice between photography or IT. So to be able to still be able to do them both now, I'm very happy. But I wish some parts of my job didn't exist, like managing people, and that would just give me a bit more me time, and I wouldn't have to be working the extra hours as well on top of everything else I have to do. I would love to either reduce the hours, which would be nice, but that's also not possible. Um,
Why not?
but we don't do part-time work. It's not allowed in our company, so it's either
Okay.
full-time or nothing. So I'd have to find the time to either build up the photography business so I can actually quit, or find another job and then go that route.
What's the perfect scenario for you?
Perfect scenario would be to work 3 days a week and then still be able to do the photography. Well, it's not actually perfect. That I can actually spend more time doing the photography, so I could actually leave the day job and do the photography full time.
Okay,
Um,
so if we have our choice, we'd like to leave that job and just do photography.
yeah,
Okay. All right. Good to know.
definitely. So it's something I would like to say I'm working towards, but I know I'm not doing enough in my photography to make that happen. My blogging's not consistent. My marketing definitely isn't consistent. I could probably put something on Facebook once a week, if that. I don't tweet enough. My brother has reminded me that Instagram is perfect for photographers, and 50 photos on Instagram is not very good for a photographer. So I'm trying to do Instagram a bit more as well. But it's trying to have a plan for the year or even for the next 3 months that I struggle with. I start
Okay.
thinking, oh, I've got a great idea and this will be wonderful. And then I don't follow through, or I just don't think it's perfect enough. I tend
What is
to,
what is your favorite social media to be on? What do you
um,
spend the most time on?
it's probably Facebook.
Okay. I hate Twitter, by the way. I to this day.
Yeah.
Like I have 15, 17,000 people connected between Facebook. I have 1,000 and some on Google, which I just got on because I started teaching at the Arcanum. Like, I cannot
Yeah.
operate in 140 characters to save my life. I have no Twitter base or following all the time, and people are always giving me a hard time. And my
Yeah.
Instagram, 98% of it is either my kids or whatever I'm making for dinner that night. So,
Yeah.
so it's a little bit of a myth to believe that your social media is negatively impacting your business because you're not everywhere. The trick is to just find the one that you want to be on personally, that you spend
Hmm.
time on recreationally, and make that your focus. Because right now, every single one of my clients in the last 3 years has come to me through Facebook. Every single one. And I haven't needed to be anywhere else in order to do that. So if you spend all your time on Facebook, Facebook is where you should be putting your energy as far as social media.
Right.
So
Okay.
food for thought. Sorry, continue. Tell me more.
No, that's fine. Uh, what else is there? So weddings are slow, just because I've done a couple of wedding fairs this year so far already, and I set up so I send them a series of emails afterwards so they can give them more information on planning their weddings, and try to be a bit more than just, oh, I just turn up on the day. I'd like to give more information, how to help planning, things you should consider, especially around your photography and your timeline on the day. Um, but blogging is not my favorite task at all.
Don't blog.
And really,
I don't blog. I was doing $10,000 to $12,000 weddings.
hmm
I
so
never blog.
never ever.
Nope, never blog.
Hmm.
Nope. Even the Reliquarium, which is a writing project, and I have 4 blog posts in the last year. You know, I put them out when they're consistent. Like that's the hardest thing for people to compensate is the fact that they feel the need to be everywhere that somebody tells them will bring them
Hmm.
success or money. And it's like a diet or an exercise plan. Like you hear about the insanity workout and the P90X and isogenics and this fad and that fad. And if you eat nothing but apples and drink lemon water for 4 days, you'll drop 18. The problem is that every single one of those diet plans and those exercise routines work exactly the way they say, if you do it exactly the way that they tell you to do it. But the problem is that most people lose their motivation and because they don't like doing it. So
Hmm.
if you sit down to blog and it is a chore for you, then don't do it, because that it's like my grandmother's Italian, so she always says you don't cook when you're upset because people can taste it in the food. Like that's when you burn the dinner. It's the same kind of thing. Like this is your art. Art is such a personal thing that if you are putting negative energy into it, that's going to come across to people and they're going to see that your heart's not in it. And people respond to passion. That's why art is so potent, whatever form it's in, whether it's photography or it's painting or it's singing or it's dance or performance. It's the passion that people relate to. That's what moves people. So if you don't have that because you hate blogging, it dilutes the potency of
Hmm.
your artwork. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So if
It
you're going,
does.
oh, I've got a
Then my
blog.
issue is I struggle to build a client base. Most of my weddings have come through recommendations from either other suppliers, friends, or friends of friends. Um, and and I think I suppose I've always just had the fear very good on Facebook or Instagram. How am I going to be getting myself? How do I get myself out there so people know I'm there? And what's the best way to do that?
What do you like doing?
Reading lots. With
Okay.
regards to yeah, it's reading, music. It's I don't particularly like being on Facebook all the time, and I'm not actually on Facebook all the time. I hardly ever post anything anyway. Just the odd occasional time. Um, but most of the things I like doing aren't going to get me more clients, if you see what I mean, because they're more solo sports, or I play netball. But I just find it really hard to build up the momentum, and so then I let's focus on that, and then I can use the excuse that the day job's so hard that, which it is, but it's so busy and there's so much going on, so therefore I don't have to focus on trying to build my client base.
Do you love weddings?
I do. I must admit that the day of the wedding, I can't think of a worse place to be. Just the fact I get really nervous that I'm going to miss key moments, especially through the service. But once the service is over, I find the rest of the wedding wonderful.
Okay.
So it's just
So,
that hour of 5 minutes or how long it is of the wedding service that I don't like, because I'm worried I'm going to miss any of the key moments that can't be replaced. Whereas I can, if it's a group shot, I can take 10 of those and do those over and over again. But them getting married, that's only going to happen once. And there's a fight going to hold any single pose, and you can't actually tell the vicar, can you just hold that there? So that's the part of a wedding I don't like, but I do like weddings.
have
Um,
have you considered having a second shooter with you just to?
yeah.
Okay. So I have a second shooter that used to work with me. Once I started having a second shooter, I didn't want to do a wedding without them. I can, and I've never had a problem, but I understand that fear, and we missed one where I was in the center of the aisle, and one of those Uncle Toms jumped up, and I mean directly in front of me, and he was not a small person, and I missed their kiss.
Yeah.
That first kiss, the whole point of the
Oh, yeah.
ceremony. And it was one of those things where they were not a very physically affectionate couple, where they were like super cuddly. So it was like, and they were done. And by the time I had shifted around him, I'd already missed it. And, I'm not known for subtlety in anything. So I was pretty quick to just call it out and be like, look, I would definitely talk to, so-and-so over there, because he felt like him getting that shot was more important than me getting it. And I showed him, I was like, this is what I got, was the back of his jacket. It's a really lovely thread count, I'm sure. So, can we just go up and get another shot? But we had been doing video as well, so I ended up pulling still frames from the video. So I compensated for it. But, if that's causing you severe anxiety, just making sure that you have two people, will definitely help with that. The other option is that you could definitely partner up with someone that loves doing the ceremonies and let them be the lead photographer for that, and you could focus on the detail and all of the reception stuff and the fun and the livelihood of the party as well, and have that be your focus. I have a couple of photographers that own the company but second shoot for their own weddings. Like, they hire people to be the first shooters so they can just go around and do, because they love doing the detail shots and stuff like that. So, really, one of the first steps is to, and this is kind of counterintuitive because you have so many people going, this is how you brand, and this is how you market, and this is how you use social media, and if you want to be a success, you have to do these things. And they're not wrong. Those are all good ideas, but the problem is that we haven't actually gotten in touch with what it is that you're marketing yet and what it is that you want to be spending your time doing. So I think the best thing for you to do early on here is to actually set that aside. Don't worry about your marketing. Don't worry about your branding. Don't worry about your social media or your blogging or how you're reaching your clients. The first thing is to really focus in on what it is that you want to be doing. Is that weddings? If it's weddings, how do you want to be doing them? What do you want to do? What does your team look like if you have one? Are you, for me, every time I shot a wedding, I was always pushing my makeup artist, Sarah Jane, because she works in the studio with me and she knows how to make people look beautiful in photographs, which can be different than beautiful in real life. She knows how to balance that. So it's a nice thing to have my whole team there for me and know that I'm kind of in control of the energy of the situation for the whole day. So I would be paying attention to those things. How much money do I want to be making a wedding? How much, or, even more broad, how much money would I like to be making a year? If you're working 80 hours a week right now and you're looking to quit that job so you can focus on weddings, how much money do you have to make to compensate for you to walk out the door at your current job right now? Is that $50,000? Is it $100,000? Is it $200,000? And then how many weddings do you want to be able to do? Because what we don't want to do is we don't want you to quit working 80 hours a week for someone else to come work for yourself 120 hours, unless that's all you want to do with your day every day. Because I can do that because I love what I'm doing, and I'll spend 12 hours making a giant piece of fruit in my backyard. You know, but not everybody wants to do that. You know, part of the reason that I shoot such high-end packages is because, one, I don't want to shoot more than one session a day, and two, I don't want to shoot more than one session a week because, you know, every Wednesday is swimming day with my kids, and they're at that age that my son's getting ready to start baseball, and my daughter's going to horseback riding, and, you know, I want to be part of all of that. I don't want to miss that, so I don't want to be in my studio 18 hours a day like some other photographers that love being in their studio all day. You know, if that's not what you want to do with every waking moment you have, then eventually you're going to burn out, and it's not going to matter whether we get you the clients or not, because you're going to end up dropping it because you're miserable.
Yeah.
You know, money only takes you so far. So reverting away from that and stepping aside from, you know, how to get the clients in the door, what is it that you want to be able to do as a photographer? What makes you really, really happy and excited?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can now. Sorry, the last sentence just went completely.
Okay. So moving away from how to get the clients in and how to get booked more, let's just answer the question first of what is it that you really love to do and what really excites you to get out of bed and pick up your camera?
It's definitely, if I didn't have to worry about money or anything, I would say it would be travel photography and more landscape photography, but also shooting, doing more women's portraiture than anything else. That's really what I would love to focus my energy on. The shoots I have done for various women have been great. I love the energy and I love working with the team to produce the images at the end. And I have some ideas of shoots that I want to try as well, that I'm trying to finish and trying to build up. But if I had my chance, it would just be take the camera out, leave first thing in the morning, and do a lot of landscapes and scenic or cityscapes.
Okay. Let me ask you something else then. If you have this day job that you're putting in all kinds of overtime that you don't necessarily hate, but you just are not really fond of all the extra hours, do you need the money that you're making from weddings right now to supplement your lifestyle, or do you make enough from your job?
I make enough for my job. Wedding money doesn't supplement anything.
Okay.
It's
Well,
just a bit extra money to either get more kit or do some more photography training.
okay, so I'm just going to give you some food for thought. You
hmm
are talking about the ideal scenario is to leave the job that you're at and be able to shoot. But when I asked you what you
Yeah,
love, you said travel, women, and landscape, and weddings didn't come into that. So you would be
yeah,
leaving one thing you don't like to be able to shoot something else that didn't even make it into the list of things that excite you to pick up your camera.
true.
Is it worth
Which
it for
isn't
you
an
to
ideal
leave?
situation.
Okay, so I'm going to actually issue this challenge, and I don't want you to answer right now. I want you to think about it and get back to me.
hmm
Um, but I would actually suggest that you stop doing weddings.
Okay.
And I would say that if you are putting in 40 to 80 hours a week at your actual job right now, plus putting in time shooting weddings because it makes you money that you obviously enjoy, we like money, but isn't a necessity, all of
Yeah,
that time is time that you cannot spend building towards something that you actually love doing. So you are the biggest thing in your way right now between you and success at something that you are excited to get up every morning. And I don't know if you got to watch my time is my currency thing, but this is my personal mantra for the year.
yeah,
You know, if you're not spending your time well, the rest of it's irrelevant. It really is, because when it comes down to it, at the end of anything, we don't wish for better clients. We don't wish for, you know, more expensive equipment or higher sales. We wish for more time. That's it. We wish for more time with our loved ones. We wish for more time being young and beautiful. We wish for more time before our joints started hurting. You know, we wish for more time with everything. Um, and so I'd rather you spend your time well than your money well, especially if that money is non-essential,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, that is something worth considering, because even after you just said that, it was just like, okay, if I stop weddings, then I can actually do those shoots that I want to do. I can plan the things that I actually want to do instead of
Hmm.
doing all the work that seems to go into a wedding, even though they're okay, I like them, but they're not my love. They're not my first true love when it comes to photography. It's not something
No,
that I
there's
really
nothing in
want to
your
do.
tone of voice that says love right now. And they're okay. I like them. Mm.
Yeah, they'll do.
You know,
Yeah.
we don't want that face. So, but I would actually, I would say that you're shooting weddings because you like being a photographer, and weddings seem like the most viable way to be able to make income with your camera in your
Hmm.
hand. Okay. So I'm going to tell you that right now, I don't have a client that spends less than $2,000 when they walk in the door for me to take pictures of them in their underwear. So, so women's portraiture is an option. Landscape photography is purchased by art clients more than any other kind of photography in the world. So, as far as being able to sell prints, you have a much easier chance of being able to be a fine artist as a landscape photographer than I do as a portrait photographer. Statistically speaking,
Okay.
it will be much more difficult for me to put any print in my portfolio up against any of your landscape prints. Even if they're technically better, if they would score higher in, competition, if I am light years beyond you, people are more inclined to buy a landscape image because most people don't want portraits unless they know the person that's in the
Person in it.
portrait.
True.
Or, um, so we could also look at that route of you being a fine portrait artist. Then there's the head of the Arcanum, the guy who came up with all of this, who happens to be one of the most successful photographers in the world. And every time you go on his social media, he's in Antarctica, and then he's in China, and then right now he's in London, and and then he's in New Zealand, and then he's in the US. Like, he's all over the place every couple of weeks doing travel photography. And he has more followers on his social media than Britney Spears right now. Just food for
Okay.
thought.
Yeah.
So all of these are viable choices for income, if that's what you want to pursue, if you have the courage to pursue it. Any of the voices that you are hearing without or within that are saying that none of these will work are false. It's just creativity.
Yeah.
But if you're putting all your energy towards wedding photography or other sessions that don't excite you to get paid, that's a personal choice. However, what you're saying is that all of those hours are hours that you are taking away from the ability to explore one of those where you can be happy and make money.
Yeah. I mean, I must
So,
admit, I will have been asked several times to do family portraits, and I've done a few, but recently I've just been saying no because I just don't like them. I do like taking photos of people individually, but trying to corral a family of 3 children under the age of 5, it just isn't fun, especially for first thing on a Saturday morning. So I've managed to say no and stop accepting those jobs, and there's certain events that I don't like doing either, so I've started saying no to those. I just know I'm probably going to struggle saying to stop the weddings.
okay, don't
But
stop the weddings.
I
Don't
think,
stop the weddings.
no,
They'll
no,
hit
no.
the price.
Yeah, that could work too. I already think that
Okay,
I'm
so
too
I'm not,
overpriced, but yeah,
I'm not, are people booking you?
yes,
Okay, then you're not too overpriced or they wouldn't be paying for it.
true. Okay.
All of that is in the eye of the beholder, 100%. I thought that I was really high end, and I am for where I am. Like, the average wedding photographer here makes $2,000 to $3,000 is about the average around my local demographic pretty regularly. So when I was getting 8 to 12,000, I was like, I'm really high end, and I am. I'm keeping up with everybody else. So I was feeling pretty good. And then I went and had a conversation with somebody else that starts at 25,000. And then I was talking to another friend that was getting paid 100,000. And I was, most of the people around here are paying less than half that for their entire wedding, let alone the photography. So it's all relative. It just depends on where you are and what kind of clientele you're catering to and what it is you have to offer. So I very rarely give the advice to not shoot what's making you money, especially if that income is essential. But I will encourage you that, one, you don't share work that you don't want to be hired for. So if you want to shoot weddings for the next year because it's going to be hard for you to say no, then you shoot them, but you don't post them. You post the portraits of the travel, the landscape, and the women's portraiture, because that's what you want to get the calls for. And if you're putting photos of weddings out, you're telling people you're a wedding photographer. And the thing is that people will contact you anyway. The same way that you're doing weddings right now, and people are going, hey, will you do family portraits? I get calls for children. What about a woman in a G-string and 5-inch heels says, please photograph my 5-year-old? But people assume because I'm good at one that I can take beautiful pictures of their kid too, So it's just one of those things. But you show the work that you want to get hired for. The second one is that if it's not fun for you and you're not enjoying it, you charge high enough that it becomes fun for you. Because if you're going, oh God, I don't want to wrangle these 3 kids at 8 o'clock in the morning, but for $10,000 I will. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm getting up this morning, So, and you don't feel bad about it, because when you're done, you're going to go buy a brand new TV or a brand new car, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, maybe this is worth getting up for. So anytime that I have the space, the answer is to always up my prices, especially if I'm still getting calls for it, and that was eventually what I did with weddings. I kept upping them thinking I would do less of them, and I wasn't. So eventually it just became a thing where I was like, okay, now I have to decide if I want to keep doing weddings or not, but at that point I had already done enough of them that I had built into my boudoir business, and I had built into my teaching career enough that I could walk away from it without, feeling the financial anxiety of that, but so if you're looking at weddings and you're going, and you are, when you rewatch this, you will see, you go, I like that is not the face I want anybody that likes me to have when they go, oh yeah, oh her, yeah, I like
she's
her.
all right.
Yeah, all right. So, if that's how you feel, whatever your prices are, if you're not going to double them, at least 1.5 them. It's the beginning of a new year. It's 2015. Raise your prices. Tell people, put energy into what you want to build. If you're moving into women's portraiture and you want to do travel and landscape, or, add to the element, well, you kind of like doing weddings, but you love travel photography. Start looking into destination weddings so that you're traveling while you're doing your weddings. And then you can go photograph everything around, stay an extra day and go photograph in the Caribbean and in Italy and, wherever you're going to go. Okay? So your homework for the day,
that's a good idea.
Your homework for the day is to sit down and write yourself a letter. This is going to be fun. I'm enjoying this. I want a screenshot of it too. Handwrite it because it matters more. And I like to write, Dear Carla, you will not make any decisions that are fear-based, only hope-based. This is what I hope my life will be like for the next 10 years. And fill that out as far as photography and your career goes, and really just be honest with yourself with what you want to do, because I am telling you with every fiber of my being that there is nothing that you cannot make money at with enough creativity. Everything that you're telling yourself as to why it can't be done is a lie, and fear is a waste of the imagination. So I would rather see you take that and put that towards something you actually want to be able to do. And I will sit down and I will help you, and your fellow cohorts will help you. And we will build you a pathway from where you are to where you want to be, not where you're going to settle. But if you settle, you will not go further than what you settle for, which is why you're doing weddings right now.
True. Thank you. I think I needed that.
You did.
My boyfriend has said, I don't know why you do weddings. You can just tell the energy going the day before a wedding, and a wedding just kills my back every single time. So on a Sunday, I'm useless.
Yeah, I hear
Um,
you. I was the same way.
yeah, and it's
Yep.
just, is it worth? It's not just the day of the wedding; it's also the day after the wedding, and of course you've got to do the editing, and it's a lot more to it after post it than actually on the day, which I tend to forget until
Mm,
I'm there, and it's just like, oh, I've got 2 weeks of editing because, of course, I'm trying to fit it in around everything else. So, yeah,
yeah.
no,
Good.
thank
So
you. It's
I want you I
lovely to
want you
hear
to
that.
spend some time, write yourself a letter, figure out what it is that you want to do. I would love to hear some more in the group about these shoots that you are planning to do that you haven't gotten to do yet,
Hmm.
and just keep looking at them. Put them somewhere that you're seeing them every day so you remind yourself that that is worth more,
Yeah,
especially if you don't need it. Like if you're going to stay at your job right now and that's providing for your life and you don't need the financial gain, then there's no reason for you to shoot weddings unless you love them. Because some photographers do. We're hopeless romantics and we love the dresses and all the details and the fact that they have monograms, napkins. If you don't get excited about that crap, do not do it.
okay. Okay.
Okay. Questions,
Yeah.
comments, concerns. How are you feeling?
Um, I know for the last few weeks I've not been as active as I was in February, but now, well, I've got another event coming up in a couple of weeks, but I'm hoping this week and next week I can get back into it and be a bit more involved and ask everyone for their advice as well on what I'm doing. I'm actually enjoying it. It's been great to speak to the different cohorts from around the world, and hopefully I'll get to meet Scott in Chicago because I know coming over for work in a few weeks. So that would be cool, and it'd be nice to meet someone face to face as well.
Nice.
Um, yeah, so it's just been great seeing everyone and how everyone has a different journey, but we still have the same fears regardless. And
Hmm.
not and a lot of us are working other jobs as well to make this work. So it's been good.
It's good. I think you'll find if you talk to a lot of the people now that you're in Convergence that are at
Hmm.
Sphere 1, a lot of them are really so much closer to where they want to be. And if you watch their level 4 critique as opposed to like their level 19, it's a lot of them
Yeah.
accomplishing everything that they started by saying here. It just takes enough courage to be able to do it. Like Gretchen, you probably haven't talked to yet because she's been out and she apologized for not
Hmm.
completing any levels, but her whole Sphere 1 was built to get her ready for gallery shows. And she hasn't been in because she's been working on her gallery show. Same thing with
Yeah.
Lars. Lars came in at level 4. The growth between his level 4 and his level 14 critiques is unbelievable in 10 levels. And now he's doing
Hmm.
his first show privately, all by himself. You know, it's just the courage to take the steps, girlfriend. That's it.
Yeah. And I do let the fear take over a lot of the time and just say, oh well, no, it's not going to work. And if people aren't going to laugh at you, but in your head, everyone is looking and pointing at you, and which just stops you from doing what you should do.
Nobody is more offensive than I am, and I want you to know that every time that you do that, that I'm gonna laugh and point at you way harder for not going after it than they are. So just fear me more.
Thanks.
I do it. It's all
Okay,
out of
I will
love.
do.
It's all for you.
You're too kind. Thank you.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Well, you have passed level 4 with flying colors. So off to level 5 with you.
Thank you.
All right. It was
And
nice to sit down with you. We get
yeah.
to we get to do it again at level 9.
And hopefully I'll have some new photos to show you then.
Yeah, no wedding photos. You're not allowed to bring them. You lose points if you bring
Well,
wedding photos to level 9.
yeah. I will make sure I don't. Thank
Okay.
you very much. See
All
you
right. I'll
soon.
talk to you soon,
Take
girl.
care.
Bye.
Bye.